Good
Good
evening,
evening.
Harav.
Good evening, Rav. We're recording. Good evening.
You can record. Leslie, you want to record?
Yes, Rav, we're recording. We're recording.
Record. So last week we didn't have a shiur because we had a wedding. Chavaita's fifth son got married, and Baruch Hashem, it was very nice. And then we had Sheva Bocha, so the whole week was a week of Simcha. Let's hope that always we have Simcha and happiness. And the main thing, of course, that we are praying and worrying about what's happening in Israel. So I'm sure that everybody joins me in praying to God to bring end to the story with this now Iranians. Israel now faces so many fronts, but it seems to be the Iranian are the worst. You cannot imagine the amount of rockets that they sent here, and thank God that most of them are being blown out by Israeli Defense Force. But you couple of people in the last 2-3 days, they had a direct hit on buildings, and they managed to destroy buildings in all different places. 10 people were killed and 20 odd injured. So it's completely a difficult situation that, of course, worries everybody. There is no schools. The schools are stopped. The work, only essential work, shops only to supply food are open. The public transport was cut to 50%, I think. So it is really a state of a war, an emergency. So it's not so simple. I wanted to go to Yerushalayim today. Usually I've got a bus from Telston, where we live, every 20 minutes. So one day we didn't have any buses, 2 days, I think. Today, they had the bus every hour on the hour. Let's say you go to Yerushalayim at 1 o'clock or 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock, whatever, in an hour, and every hour, you come back on the half an hour. The bus leaves Yerushalayim 1:30, 1:30, 2:30, 3:30, 4. So you can imagine what kind of situation. So the kids are at home. They don't go to school. Many people are, some of them, of course, are in the army, and there are some in the army who are still fighting in Gaza, and it's so terrible to hear the news every day. They tell you a soldier, officer were killed in Gaza. So it's a matter which is really, Israel is going through now a difficult time. And of course, all of us, I'm sure that you join me in praying to Hashem that should stop this and to bring a relief by destroying all these enemies around. And on the other hand, when we look at history, yes, we suffer, Jewish people suffer, but nevertheless, we are the oldest nation that we still around. From historical point of view, there are all those that were in the old times, they are not around anymore. So we are still around, and obviously this is with God's special supervision. Why, of course, why Israel has to suffer? This is a question that nobody can answer, but we still believe that God has got a reason for what is now, what is done in the world. Okay, so with these words, let's see what Shlomo HaMelech says in Mishlei, chapter 18.
No, chapter 21.
Chapter 18, and we stopped in verse 20. So there are still a couple of verses that we to finish the chapter. So 20. With the fruit of his mouth does a man's stomach become sated. With the produce of his lips is Satan. So what is Shlomo HaMelech here want to show or to express the power of speech. Depends how you speak. If a person speaks nicely, pleasantly, then he gains, it's a reward. He's rewarded for them. On the other hand, by implication, that if he speaks slanderous, then he's punished. This is one commentary. I like the other comment more, which says, if a person speaks softly and gently, and he speaks to another person, and there is a little misunderstanding and a little fight. So if a person speaks to his friend gently, he can calm his friend's anger. But if he speaks harshly, he antagonizes even his friend. I don't see this. It comes in the verse the opposite, but I think it's only talking about implication, although the verse doesn't speak about the negative side, but one can understand that from the verse of the positive way how to talk, there is by implication that speech, which is harsh speech, will only result the opposite, and this will only increase to antagonize a friend, and the fight goes bigger and stronger. On the same note, the next verse: death and life are at the end of the tongue, and those who love it will eat its products. So again, there is a way, the simple meaning, which I think more or less repeats the message from before, that the speech can cause death, which means will cause hatred, hate, which means like death and life. The one who love it if one loves his tongue and guard it from slanderous speech, he will eat its fruit. So this is, as I said, quite a continuation of the previous verse to show the importance of the right, how to talk nicely and the right speech. However, like many times, Rashi takes it a little bit in a higher level, and he says, if he speaks, if he talks words of Torah, he will live. But if he talks words of slander, he will perish. So as I said, this is a higher level to not just to give advice to on a social level to speak to each other, but put it into higher level, what he speaks. That if a person talks to somebody else of Torah messages, this will be gives life. And the same way Rashi says, and the other part, if who loves with his tongue and accustoms it to speak words of Torah, partakes of his reward in this world. So, as I say, Rashi takes it in a spiritual level, in a higher level, not only as the simple meaning of social relationship. Now we'll go to the next verse. He who has found a wife has found good and obtains favor from Hashem. Again, Rashi takes it to a spiritual way, talking about not just a wife, but talking about the wife presents Torah. And so Rashi said, he who has found the Torah, and according to his apparent meaning, a good wife. But of course, we can understand the message on a simple level. A good wife is, if a person finds a good wife, then he found good. He'll have a good life. If he found the wrong woman, a bad wife, we know that this can be hell. So, but the verse says as well here, the good wife, she will, it will also, he will find favor in the eyes of Hashem. So one commentator says that if you find the good woman, then she helps him, she loves him, and he will have also, she will help him to reach his relationship with God. The opposite, of course, we know what it means. So you're only talking about the positive things, and we have to derive the negative part, which is the opposite. So all these words we are devoted actually to kind of relationship. And now the next one, also talking about speech, which we started before, death and life are the end of tongue. So 23, a poor man speaks with supplication, but a rich man replies with impudence. So we know that somebody that is poor a poor man by nature, he will talk with let's say tachnonim, speaks with supplications. So when he approaches somebody for help because of his poverty, he knows that he has to speak. He begs for help. However, rich man obviously he feels very proud and he uses harsh words in contrary to the poor. He's accustomed to speak in the manner of impudence.
Rabbi, move to the right, please.
What?
Yes, there
Okay,
we
sorry.
can see. There
Okay.
we can see you.
Okay, look, there's nothing to see me. Maybe my words are worth it, not my face. But anyhow, Rashi takes it a little bit further also, talking about a lesson to a teacher. A teacher should handle his pupil. He should speak in a matter not like as a teacher to, obviously sometimes you have to be harsh with the pupil. But the message here, you achieve more when you are talking to the pupil in a soft way, in a soft manner. What do you think, Ruben? You are a teacher.
Yeah, look, it's obviously very important that the way you approach a student is very, very important. But there are times when you have to maybe talk a little harshly, but
As
it
I
all depends
mentioned,
on the
sometimes,
circumstances.
of course, to have to reprove
Yeah.
your pupil for bad behavior. I
But one should,
must tell you that I noticed that in the recent years, messages that come from all directions, talking to the teachers to be nice and kind to the pupils and talk to them softly. This seems to be more influence if rather than you use
sure.
the stick and punishment and so on. But I agree with you. Sometimes you need also to have the stick.
Yeah.
Um,
The problem I have with this, well, is he says the rich man's answer is harsh. I mean, not all rich men are going to be harsh or talk in a bad way. Why does he do that?
what do you say?
No, he says the rich man answer is harsh or impudent, but that doesn't apply to all rich men.
The rich man feels power.
Yeah,
So
but
therefore,
not all rich men do that. I mean, in
no,
many cases,
of course, it doesn't say that it's a must to see in every rich man this kind of hardship and hard talk. But we know by nature, a person that is poor is a nebach. So, תחנוני מדבר רש. He has no, he knows that he needs the help of others. How you get the help of others? If you plead with them, if you please them, the rich man, he feels very independent, very strong. Other people need him. So sometimes, I don't say that everyone is it, but you can see it's a natural thing that the confidence the rich man has leads him to talk harshly and not so friendly.
Rob, we've got 10 minutes left.
Yeah, we will finish because I want to finish the chapter and we are here another 2 verses. A man, only 1 verse, sorry. A man acquires friends with whom to associate. And there is a friend who sticks closer than a brother. Okay, so what is it talking about? The importance to be friendly. And when a man who acquires friends for himself, he will, this Rashi says, he will need them and they will be befriending him. There is a friend who sticks closer than a brother, for he'll be befriending him more than his skin and his brothers. This Rashi says. So it's talking about the importance to be friendly and to have good friends. But there is another, the Malbim says interesting things. One who acquires many friends imagines that he has friends, but one who has one lover, that one sticks closer than a brother. The meaning is that one who has many friends has not even one, for love can only be with one person. The more friends a person has, the thinner the friendship is spread. So one close friend, however, sticks closer than a brother.
Yeah.
But of course, we are not talking about that this is always, but Shlomo Melech says how to try to live with friendship, to be the importance of social friends, how important it is, and this is a lot to do with the person himself, how he behaves with other people, other friends. So likewise, he can acquire a good friend. There are some people that, okay, they say many friends, but it's not really true friends. And they just say hi and so on. It's not really something which is close. But if somebody's got a good friend, as a friend should be, it can be even closer than a brother.
Rav, I think Shlomo Melech is thinking of his father, David Melech with Jonathan.
It could be. Yes, it's a good idea.
They were devoted to each other.
No, it's
Jonathan gave his life for David.
a nice thought. Okay, friends, we now, after a couple of weeks, we finished chapter 18, and Emir Hashem, please God, next Tuesday we'll meet again, and we'll start chapter 19.
Thank you, Rob. Thank
Thank
you.
you, Rav.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Rav.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Rav.
Roberto.
I hope that we learn something, some wisdom from Shlomo HaMelech, and maybe from also with his experience, good and bad that he had.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, Arav.
All right, thank
Roberto,
you.
thank you, Rav.
Have a
Roberto.
good night.
Good
Good night.
night.
Bye.